Добрый день, дорогие друзья.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Good afternoon, dear Theosophists. We begin our international scientific research seminar, The Secret Doctrine by HPB, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. We're happy to welcome our speakers, members of the scientific groups, and listeners who are here from the whole world today.
We see more than 120 participants already with us from different countries of the world. These are Australia, France, India, Philippines, Singapore, Austria, Moldova, Belarus, Ukraine.
Today, with us, there are interpreters Alexandra Bobko, Ksenia Persova, Sergei Nasetkin, Maria Ponomarova. Thank you so much for our connection with the whole world. So please carry on bringing our listeners every heart of our seminar today these thoughts. And technical support Alexander Brezhnev, Maxim Yedgorov, Alexander Kuleshov, who have prepared the presentation in English and Russian for you, so that you can visualize what speakers are saying, so that it's more comfortable for you. Our seminar is not only for those who's been studying the secret doctrine for a long time, but also for those who have interest in theosophy, because thoughts that will be pronounced today are quite simple, and every speaker will bring his or her thought in a quite clear form, and will be happy to hear your opinion in the common chat. Sloka 9, Stanza 1, today is presented by Arni Narendran, Theosophical Society of India, Ritva, Lappi, Theosophical Society of Finland, then Mr. Pandey and Bridget Takin, accordingly from India and France. We're giving the floor to the president of Adamant Lodge, head of the Moscow School of Theosophy, Vladimir Yary. Thank you so much. So we will begin, as usual, from the thought of the day. But first of all, I'd like to remind you that we are beginning from the School of Mahayana, and our webinar devoted to Kalachakra also demonstrates such an approach. HPB actually knew that and was describing Kalachakra, but as she was describing in the thought of the day, corresponds to every event we have every day, and it goes for the whole year. So the thought we have today is the following: whoso cannot forgive wrong done to him shall learn to know how his good deeds are undone by himself. This is the thought, and we'll be able to forgive. We should be able to forgive, because in this forgiving, we have what we get inside our soul. That is how our consciousness is wired, and those who cannot forgive are egoistic in essence and work the least on their nature, on their soul. According to this thought, we'll go forward, and at the Kalachakra wheel, we see the century of dragon white, symbolizing the wisdom that is complete. The white color is the ether, and the ether is what is the manifested world, because this is the voice, this is the sound, and the sound forms every form according to the vibration that it pronounces. And according to that, we have attraction between different forms and manifestation, or the way things are revealed. The white dragon is the complete wisdom. The wisdom exists in the world, and it is evident in its existence. You have the century of white dragon and the year of white ox, and the white
это выстроено на том, что сам бык
symbolizes completeness, and by realizing itself, it realizes first of all its essence, ignorance, or not knowing something.
Месяц желтой собачки у нас.
So we have the month of yellow dog. The dog symbolizes the firmness, and as a consequence, it can see the things in illusory form. And yellow dog also symbolizes the time in which Buddha
освобождался от иллюзии.
Was freeing himself from illusions by means of those yellow dog. So he was purified. And in the next principle, Onidana, wild boar to turn the wheel of time. So the riksha are being freed from. So the month is telling us that the whole month we are getting freed from illusion. It's a very important moment. And to turn the wheel of time, our consciousness for the new possibilities. And the week is of red horse. So in the week we are living in now, it's located on the ray of the sound. This is yellow, this is green ray. It symbolizes something manifested. And right here, there is a fiery horse, the symbol of the justice of the spirit, whether pure or impure. But in the essence, it manifests the law of the spirit. In other words, where the spirit is directed upon, so this urge provides us the consequences. So which is the sound, then the reflection is the following. And the day is of the black monkey. Black monkey is located in the constellation, and the black color is the symbol of Akasha, or the cause of the sound, also symbolizes the element of water. Black monkey symbolizes in all the elements harmony and beauty, and the symbol of monkey is the whole mankind. The mankind in today has its some kind of a genius, because it's located in the constellation of Taurus, and it symbolizes the absolute mind. And this absoluteness and potentiality provides the man to understand, to comprehend, to cognize, to think about all those abilities in their potentiality are expressed in black monkey. And so the genius of each human, its potency, his potency in today's day provides us with fruits to urge everybody to manifest the godly sense. So this is the day. And also the black monkey. So this ray symbolizes the highest man's ego. This is this individuality, which is inherent in each man, but not in everybody. It's manifested. This ego, this individuality, in this day can be manifested in this day. And how? With the ability to comprehend and to cognize and to apply it in the life with one's urge for the whole good. Thank you so much.
For the thought of the day, I express gratitude to you, and the black monkey expresses the initial beauty and reveals the great sector of Taurus, that is the divine mind state. And today we're in this sector at the very beginning of its manifestation. Thank you so much for the information. It's so important for understanding nidanas and the energies that we work in today in our seminar. So, dear friends, the International Scientific Research Seminar, The Secret Doctrine by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, devoted to Sloka 9, Stanza 1 of Ziyan, is open, and we invite the first speaker, Mr. Arni Narendran, the Theosophical Society of India, Blavatsky Lodge. So, dear Mr. Narendran, we're happy to see you.
Yeah, namaste from Mumbai in India. I'm from the Blavatsky Lodge. Nice to be back here, the Secret Doctrine Seminar. It has become a monthly part of our lives in Theosophy, and it is becoming globally focused these days. Thank you. The 9th sloka is the final in the series under stanza 1, wherein the cosmic evolution and its genesis has been enumerated and explained. In the previous sloka, we could understand the concept of DANGMA, the opened eye of consciousness. In esoteric phraseology, it is referred as the eye of Siva. In this sloka, the concept of ALAYA and PARAMARTHA has been explained. It may help us in understanding its Sanskrit etymology. We may have to delve on its esoteric meaning as well. Alaya in Sanskrit connotes abode. In the Buddhist Yogacara school, it is referred as Alaya Vijnana, or storehouse of consciousness. In Tibetan, it's called Tib Kunji Eshe. It is referred as Ashtavinyana, the 8th kind of consciousness. Yoga currents sustained attention to issues such as cognition, consciousness, perception, and epistemology, which in Sanskrit is known as Pramana Yavadi. That's a Sanskrit term for it. In Theosophy, it refers to the 5th principle, the universal oversoul, or Anima Mundi. HPB writes in the Mahayana school, Alaya is both universal soul and self of a progressed adept. To quote Arya Sangha, it is Akasa, the mystic sense, and Mula Prakriti in its essence. Mahat, the universal mind, is said to be the Manavantaric aspect of Alaya, the universal soul. It is considered the basis of all Alaya reflected in Prakriti planes, which is attainable by yogis. Alaya is intrinsically eternal, which is difficult level to be attained even by Dhyani Buddhas. but its lower levels can undergo changes, which is attained by dharmakayas or yogis. Yet, this state of consciousness is considered one step lower than nirvana. Further, only a reflection of the state can be perceived and experienced like the reflection of the moon in tranquil waters. Alaya is the womb of the universe, the plenum or the fullness that is the source of life. Alaya has an absolute eternal existence, pradhana, as explained again by Arya Sangha. It is also explained in Vishnu Puranas in its original base, that which is eternal. Paramartha is the other concept that has to be understood in this sloka. It has its origins in the Vedanta philosophy evolved in later day Buddhism. In terms of Monier Williams' Sanskrit English dictionary, param, which means above everything, and artha means comprehension or meaning. The word satya in Sanskrit means truth. This term too is subject to interpretations. Madame Blavatsky states that the Yogacaras interpret it as that which is dependent upon other things, or she uses the word paratantra, dependent or relative nature. In the Madhyamik Buddhist school, the term is interpreted and is synonymous with paranishpana, or absolute perfection. Madame Blavatsky talks of paramartha as true self-consciousness. This is not associated with any sense of egotism, which can be inferred by the following definition. Absolute being in consciousness and absolute non-being in unconsciousness. This is sometimes referred as two truths. Let us see how Madame Blavatsky explains the duality, and to quote her, there is a difference in the interpretation of the meaning of Paramartha between the Yogacharyas and the Madhyamikas, neither of whom, however, don't explain the true esoteric sense of the expression. In Madame Blavatsky's view, the sloka itself tends to postulate the fact that the alaya being in Paramartha is in absolute non-being and unconsciousness, being absolute perfection and absoluteness itself. Vedanta, on its interpretation, does talk of relative truth and absolute truth. However, Vedanta concludes the ultimate non-dualistic nature is extinguished once one experiences the oneness, or sunyata in the words of Nagarjuna. Therefore, Advaita, not two, or no second. The third terminology in the sloka is Anupadaka, meaning parentless or self-existing. Madame Blavatsky referred this to the Dhyani Buddhas of the cosmogenesis hierarchy. The Bodhisattvas and human Buddhas are one rung below. We find this term used by Madame HPB more frequently in the beginning of her writings and less in her later works. The term has not been carried much into the lexicon of other theosophical writers. This is the observation of Wei Kao Chin, a veritable theosophical resource from the Philippines. He had done some pioneering research in the secret doctrine and presented a paper in 1984 at San Diego Symposium, from where I'm quoting, on the Library of Congress catalog card number 84. The Manushi Buddhas are also referred as Anupadakas once their personalities merge with the sixth and seventh principle of Atma and Buddhi. They are referred as concealed lords, and in Tibetan, Sang Bai Dak Po. Also, the term Vajra Sattva is used, which is diamond soul. More detailed explanation of the term is given in the Kalachakras. To sum up our explanation, the night of the universe before the dawn of Manvantara emerged from non-being or Sobhavat. In esoteric philosophy, non-being is absolute being and the universe was Anupadaka. Thank you. Namaste.
Dear Mr. Narendran, thank you so much for presenting such material with concentrated thought of the 9th sloka. And every speaker today will touch upon ALAYA, Akasha, ANUPADAKA, etc. These notions. And it's important from which point of view every speaker presents these notions. I would also like to thank for such a wide glossary and words from the Sanskrit literature. Thank you. Thank you. We continue our seminar and we invite the member of the Theosophical Society of Finland, the Blavatsky Lord, Madam Ritva Lappi. Thank you so much. We're happy to welcome you and we are listening to your report. Thanks.
Good afternoon, all friends. It's very nice when I listen, Arni, when you told I have so much same. I think so. We say in Finland, it's better if you again read. It's become better understanding. I think so. Now there is a slide. If you can put my slide, and I don't speak all because it's a lot of same what Arni said. I think so. It may be better if we go to fastly this. This is this 9 sloka. But where was DANGMA when the universe ALAYA was in Paramaha and the great field was Anupadaka? I thinking verse, this is question, this is only Western, this stanza, why? And that is true. I think we need to understand just words and sentence, then we can maybe answer. It's very nice when I decide, maybe July, maybe August, maybe I can give a commentation this sloka. And I sitting in a forest, and many times I have saw this stone, but when I sitting, I saw there is eyes. That is reason I thought this photo is this presentation, because it's become there my presentation when I have made, and then I translate every word. I translate all words Finnish. I want to read now what kind sound when I read this Finnish, this sentence. Missä oli puhdistunut sielu, joka oli saavuttanut täyden viisauden, kun kaikkien asioiden perusta, muuttumaton sielu, oli korkeimmassa totuudessa, ja maailma oli kaikkiallinen henki, sielu. And then I try to translate just English. But where was purified soul who had attained for wisdom? When the foundation of all things, the unchanging soul was in the highest roof, and the world was the Almighty Spirit soul. And then I try to find answer what to mean DANGMA, and it's the same what Arni said just, but this is text. We can take a next slide because this is same idea what before listening. But I have like it very much. Just Nancy and David Reikel's view, because they have done a very fine book. And there is same idea, just when he look at 8pp text and what maybe this mean, that is just purified soul, but there it's just cleansed of every sin, making compatible the crystal clear from every heterogeneous substance precipitates. This is ALAYA. It's a very much same words what we heard before, because it's very important that we understand just what really mean every words, and we can look at one different way, but usually we find Theosophical encyclopedia or Blavatsky's text what these words mean. And if you understand Sanskrit, it's wonderful, because many words open easier. ALAYA is essence of emptiness, but it's the basis of every visible and visible being. Although it's eternal, it reflects every piece, the world, and that's what you said, moon is reflected in water. And this same in when we look at North Buddhist universal and so on. This is just what you heard, Yogacara tradition and Mahayana school, what there is said, because we have heard what ALAYA is, it said in different tradition. There is just what we heard. It's ALAYA means place, abode, and there is A is not, and Laya dissolve. Hence the insoluble. ALAYA is sunless, thus equivalent to Mula Prakriti. We heard just, but it's a lower aspects, but it is subject to change. But this is just, ALAYA is both the universe soul and animundi, just how we can set also what kind is adept. What's the mean when spiritual self of an adept who is strong in yoga? And when I read just very big cosmological things and the very big things, I try to take always contact. What's the mean in just me in this body? What's the mean people? And I all time when we look at we have same time we look at big things macrocosmos and same time microcosmos. What the mean in us these words? Ja Sanskrit for ultimate reality. Ja tästä we heard this also. This is very interesting what HPP said. Self-analyzing consciousness. That is just how can we look at inside, and what's the mean a human can self-analyzing consciousness. But we need knowledge, meditation, experience, and practical. It's our path, and we try to go forward, and maybe sometimes Anupadaka. This is very interesting words also. Parentless. And what's the mean parentless? That is something very poor and very deep words, if we try to understand. And if you say Theosophical way, it should denote self-born or parentless. And I think so. This is something too big word to me, but I look at word book and I try to understand. But this is neat. This is neat. Lot of work inside. I like also Supparov's views. Now I want to read, because this is just what I read what he said. This is a Finnish translation, part 1. Esoteric Writings has written in English, but this is very interesting. There are interesting perspective. Example of when the logos cease to exist, the whole objective space cease to exist. Even the existence infinite space depends on the perceived ego. Thus, existence of practice depends on existence of logos. A logos is perceptual ego between a subject and object. And this is that just what is man, it is in the universal also. How we can study and understand this word's meaning? At the beginning of the Diamond Sutra is editor phrase, texts of perfect wisdom are profound, but irrelevant unless they are taken as a meaning of changing or even reading in effort to change life. When we read all, it's a mean we have to all time try to change our lifestyle. This is every day and every situation and every moment. I like this sentence. HPP states that the study of the Theosophy has significant practical development, and in order to activate this development and a guide is needed who knows that what the teaches and who himself has attained that state through spiritual rebirth. That is more, it's more than words. And if I given lecture and presentation, every time I think, how can I speak that kind? This is so big things and so deep, and I cannot say I am spirit. I walk in spiritual way. I have to very humble and thinking. I understand so little, but something I get support when I read APP text. She said, if you know something, you can give and share, because in here world are people who need and they maybe know more or little. But if you are humble, you can give what you understand just now. That is my view today to you. Prana ya Paramita reminds us that reason is also ultimate frontier fence of understanding. The eye of intuition is more than human cognition. The development of intelligence at its peak in this four rays. But the intelligence is selfish. It lacks to love. That would turn wisdom and compassion. My first Theosophy man said to me, usually we thinking first self by brain and intelligence. We need just wisdom, and then we can give compassion, and they brain and intelligence change wisdom and love. This great conversation is very, very touchy. When great yogi Milarepa with the shepherd includes a deep teaching. Milarepa said to shepherd, my friend is a body's heart. shepherd asked, "Where is he?" Milarepa replied, "He is in the house of a universal seed consciousness." "What do you mean by that?" the shepherd asked. Milarepa replied, "My own body." That is reasons how important that we are human and we have possible to develop it, our consciousness, but we can clean our mistakes and we can get future really oneness and really love and really compassion. Sutras, Rig Veda hymn is very, very deep and helps understand sometimes just HPP text. And there is just some. On Agni we set thee within us, a person and kindly thee, who has a mind of consciousness knowledge. You become the eye of the vast truth. He gives the call of the journey and the power of intelligence to seeker. You unite us with all things, one mind common to all. United be heard with common aspiration. And this also very good text, the same books. The religion of humanity must be based on mutual love and recognition of human brotherhood, a living sense of human oneness, and where human oneness is thought feeling light. This ideal was expressed thousands of years ago in the ancient Vedic hymn. And then when I try to understand word and maybe I try to open these words, then I found this word sentence. This Asvakohasa, he is a philosopher, playwright, poet and speaker, and he wrote first Sanskrit. He is a playwriter Sanskrit. And this is very good sentence. We use words to get right of words until we research poor wordless. There is not, because I used symbol, symbol, but it's maybe good, it's not there, it's something has happened. But I want to send in the end, because I was exhibition in Atheneum Art Museum 2 days ago, and there is a very interested artist, and she was thinking just what's empty meanings, and she writes in her diary book 1980, there is nothing here, there is nothing anywhere, emptiness is absolute everywhere. This is my ideas to you. Thank you very much.
Dear Ritva, thank you so much. You always find these central words in these wordings, and every sentence that HPB writes about very precisely. Nevertheless, she's limited by words. It's very important to get beyond these words veil and here our sense, our feeling helps us. This feeling has its stages and we should bring our feelings up, and these feelings should be possessed both by mind and heart. To understand text of HPB is what HPB herself helps us with. By this penetration into these sentences that seem to be limited, but actually every notion has truth behind. Thank you so much. Actually, loyalty and respect are these two modes that helps us to open what is beyond the words. Thanks. And the next speaker is dear Mr. Pandey, the international speaker of the Theosophical Society of India. We are listening to you, happy to see you, and we're happy to see results of your research.
Okay, namaste to all of you. First of all, I extend my warm and hearty greetings to all sisters and brothers participating in this seminar, and also to our dear friends, CS brother, who are organizing this seminar. And I'm very happy to participate in this today's seminar, which is continuing as a series of history of the secret doctrine, which is the heart of all theosophical teachings. So coming to the subject, the stanza 9, the whole stanza 1, it describes the state of Paralaya, or universal night, cosmic night, when the impulse of Manvantara day is not yet there. After describing this state in Sloka 1 to 8 symbolized only negatives. Now this Sloka, last Sloka 9 of the stanza 1, is in form of question before the differentiation aspect in next Sloka appears. The Sloka is, but where was the DANGMA when the ALAYA of the universe was in PARAMARTHA and the great field was ANUPADAKA. So two parts, and there are certain terms which we'll like to see. Of course, there will be some repetition with the previous speakers, but that will be better for clarification. So DANGMA is a Tibetan word meaning an absolute purified soul free from the necessity of rebirth. In esotericism, a purified soul, a seer and an initiate, one who has attained full freedom. It is equivalent to the Hindu Jivan Mukta, or the theosophical adept, master, or Mahatma. In the secret doctrine, Blavatsky comments on the opened eye of the DANGMA. In stanza 1, Sloka 8, the opened eye is the inner spiritual eye of the seer, and the faculty which manifests through it is not clairvoyance as ordinarily understood, but rather the faculty of spiritual intuition, through which direct and certain knowledge is obtainable, and over which no Maya can have any influence. These are the words of Blavatsky. In the Sloka 8, we read that one, the all-presence, though never known, is yet sensed, not seen, by the opened eye. The so-called third eye of one who is a DANGMA or perfect seer. This third eye, symbolic representation of which are so often found in Hindu images, is the eye of the wisdom or spiritual intuition, the eye that gives certain knowledge of the truth because it transcends the duality. It is not, of course, the subtle physical organ of ordinary sight, clairvoyance. It is not, in fact, an organ at all, but is more nearly described as a state of being, that is, state of being in the Buddhi consciousness, the sixth principle. That is the state when this idea, DANGMA eye. So it is not an organ at all, it is a state of being, higher level of consciousness. So Buddhist tradition differentiates carefully between these two modes of the supernormal vision. It speaks of Divya Chakshu, or eye of the gods, which corresponds to psychic clairvoyance and gives vision of events distant in place and time. We also read of Dibbe Chaktu Avabhasa. Avabhasa means illusory visions, a purely subjective region. Contrasted with this, with the power of seeing with the wisdom eye, which is Prajna Chakshu. While the eye of gods is only operative in the realm of forms and is confined to visual representations, the wisdom eye, or Prajna Chakshu, penetrating into the formless worlds, Arupa world, is able to reveal truth directly and without any intermediary forms. The perfect seer, or DANGMA, has command over both these modes of vision, being able to see forms when he chooses, while at the same time perceiving the inner significance which lies behind them. But the Sloka tells, even the highest spiritual vision of the DANGMA can only sense, not see, the all-presence, since the latter can never be an object of any consciousness, any differentiated consciousness, however sublime. The voice of the silence, verse 289, says, know that the stream of the superhuman knowledge and the Deva wisdom thou hast won. Now, in this verse of the voice of silence, the superhuman knowledge refers probably to the key of the knowledge, which is given to the initiate when it takes his first step. The Deva wisdom is probably the divine wisdom, which we call Theosophy, which is the knowledge of the dwelling place of God's life, not merely as external regions and acquired through direct perception during contemplative meditation. Now, ALAYA and PARAMARTHA, the two terms are interpreted variously with different aspects in various schools. ALAYA is actually pronounced also as ALAYA in Sanskrit. We say Shivalaya. ALAYA means temple of Shiva, is called Shivalaya. So it is called, the word meaning is place or above ALAYA, but used in Northern Buddhism to refer to universal soul, anima mundi, or soul of the world, also referred to as the store soul, universal oversoul, cosmic group soul, master soul. So many phrases have been used for this ALAYA in Buddhism. The word ALAYA is derived from the Sanskrit a not and laya dissolve, and it is indissoluble. It is essence, in its essence, ALAYA is changeless, thus equivalent to Mula Prakriti, but in lower aspects, it is subject to change. The term also belongs to the Tibetan system of contemplative Mahayanic school, identical with Akasha and its mystic sense and Mula Prakriti in its essence, as it is the basis or root of all beings. According to esoteric teaching, it changes periodically its nature. ALAYA, though being eternal and changeless in the essence, on the plane unreachable by either men or cosmic gods, alters during active life period with respect to the lower planes, our physical plane included. That means our ALAYA is pervading all the planes. During that period, that means during the manifestation period, Dhyani Buddhas are one with ALAYA in soul and essence, and even man is strong in yoga is able to merge his soul with it. Again, it is clarified, this is not nirvana, that means this is not an atmic state, but this is one state below a Buddhic state. So ALAYA is the personification of the wideness in Yogacara school of system, and yet it is the basis of every visible and invisible being, and that it reflects in every object of the universe. In the Yogacara system of the contemplative Mahayana school, ALAYA is both the universal soul, anima mundi, and the self of the progress adept. The ALAYA has an absolute eternal existence, says Arya Sangha, the great teacher of that school. Thus, in the Yogacara tradition, the spiritual self of high yogis or progress adept is also called ALAYA. In the voice of silence, the term ALAYA appears in a number of verses, like verse number 107, 221, 249, 250, 289. In these verses, ALAYA is referred to as the great soul, the master soul, universal soul, master, nature, soul, thought, divine mind. It is mentioned that man should possess ALAYA, be one with it, live in it as its ray in oneself, live in one's fellows as they live in it, saturate oneself with pure ALAYA. All in man is impermanent, except the pure bright essence of ALAYA, and man is its crystal ray, a pattern of light immaculate within. That beam is man's life God and his true self, the stream of superhuman knowledge and the Deva wisdom which man has won on the path should be poured forth by him into others by becoming a channel of ALAYA. In glossary, footnote 8 of verse 221 to the voice of silence, Blavatsky has explained that the master soul is ALAYA, the universal soul Atman, each man having a ray of it in him and being supposed to be able to identify himself with and to merge himself into it. In the Talks on the Path of Occultism, Volume 2, it is explained by C.W. Leadbeater thus: the word ALAYA means simply a dwelling or house, ALAYA. It is the real dwelling or home of man, the universal aspect of that which is buddhi in the spiritual triad in man. It is the male or positive aspect of the universal soul, the logos. It is the oversoul of immersion, the universal higher self of all beings. It is what Plato called nous, a principle free from matter, yet acting with the design, the Jivatma of Hindus, the source of divine creative thought. In other words, it is in the second logos, the universal, the spiritual soul, of which the buddhi in each man is ray. Thus we can see that ALAYA has so many meaning and so many contexts, starting from Mula Prakriti, then Atman, then Buddhi, then Jivatman, and the second logos. The various meanings in various contexts have been used. Then Paramartha. The Yogacara interprets the term as that which is dependent upon other things, and Madhyamika says that Paramartha is limited to Pranisapanna or absolute perfection. Esoteric philosophy teaches that everything lives and is conscious, but all life and consciousness are not similar. Life as the one form of existence manifests in matter or as in man. What incorrectly separating them we name spirit and soul and matter. So spirit, soul, and matter, the three divisions, in fact, they are three aspects of the one universal life. This is what he's saying. Matter is a vehicle for manifestation of the soul on this plane of existence, and the soul is the vehicle on the higher plane for manifestation of the spirit. And those three are a trinity symbolized by the life, which pervades them all through. Also, the second of the 10 fundamental propositions given the Isis Unveiled, Volume 2, says, nature is triune. There is a visible, objective nature, an invisible, indwelling, energizing nature, the exact model of the other, and its vital principle, and above these two, its spirit, the source of all forces, alone eternal and indestructible. The lower two are constantly changed, the higher one does not. Paramartha is absolute existence. Paramartha in a Sanskrit term, ultimate reality, highest primary object. In Advaita Vedanta and also Mahayana Buddhist schools, it refers to the ultimate truth about the world, sometimes given as Paramarthika being the highest reality, or Paramarthasatika being the highest truth. The idea of universal life is one of those ancient conceptions which are returning to the human mind in this century as a consequence of its liberation from the anthropomorphic theology. It hardly seems possible that science can disguise from itself such much longer by the mere use of the terms such as force or energy, the fact that things that have life are living things, whether they are atoms or plants. This means whatever the science is terming as force, energy, all of them are manifestation of the universal life principle itself at various levels. The matter moving nous, the animated soul, immanent in every atom, manifested in man, latent in the stone, has different degrees of power. And this pantheistic idea of the general spirit soul pervading all nature is the oldest of all the philosophical notions. For the occultist, both ether and primordial substance, Akasha, are a reality. Ether is the astral light, and the primordial substance is Akasha, the upadhi of the divine thought. In modern language, the latter would be better named cosmic ideation, spirit, the former cosmic substance, matter, the spirit and matter. These are the alpha and omega of any being, but two facets of the one absolute existence. The latter was never addressed or even mentioned by any name in antiquity except allegorically. Now coming to Anupadaka or Anupapadaka or Anupapaduka, the three variations are used for the same word, means parentless, self-existing, Swambhu, in Sanskrit word, born without any parents or progenitors, Anupadaka. The term is derived from the Sanskrit an, not, upa, according to, and the causative form of verb root pad, to proceed. The whole word will thus mean, literally, one who does not proceed according to regular succession. Theosophically, it is used to denote self-born or parentless or Swambhu in Sanskrit. It is a mystical designation having several meanings in philosophy. By this name, celestial beings, the Dhyani Chauhans and Dhyani Buddhas, or the cosmic gods, are generally meant. But as these correspond mystically to the human Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, known as the Manasi Buddhas, the latter are designated as Anupadaka. Once that their whole personality is merged in their compound sixth and seventh principle, the Atma Buddhi, and that they have become the diamond soul, Vajrasattva, the full Mahatma. That means once a man during his meditation or yogic practice reaches the Buddhic level, he is termed as Anupadaka. The mystery of the hierarchy of Anupadaka is the great. The apex being the universal, the spirit soul, and the lower rung, the Manasi Buddha. And even every soul endowed man is Anupadaka in a latent state. That means our monad can be called Anupadaka. Hence, when speaking of the universe in the formless, eternal, or absolute condition, before it was fashioned by the builders, the expression universe is Anupadaka. Anupadaka, the second cosmic plane, is also called Anupadaka. In the ordinance of Manus, Manu Dharma Shastra, it is mentioned, removing the darkness, the self-existent Lord Vishnu, Narayana, became manifest, wishing to produce different beings from his own body, essence. First created water alone, that means Akasha. In that he caused seed, that became a golden egg, the cosmos. When this self-existent Lord, it is called this, and is spoken of as darkness, impossible, without definite qualities, undiscoverable, unknowable, as if wholly asleep. That means source of all this is that matrix or the Parabrahman. The question in this Sloka 9, it can be asked, but it cannot be answered. For the alaya of the universe, the eternal parent or matrix was in Paramarthaka, the state of supreme reality, and the great field of the manifested cosmos was without parents. The two were to bring it forth. The question may be asked, but hardly answered. The perfected seer of the previous manvantras had all entered into darkness that merged with the Parabrahmic consciousness, with the universe in which they lived. The new universe was still unborn, its very parents not having yet become manifest. That means spirit and matter not yet manifested, differentiated. Of those seers of the previous manvantara, we can say in the words of Buddha, all manifestations of form, feeding, thought, will, and consciousness, everything that might have served to denote the existence of the enlightened one has passed into non-being, grubbed and scrubbed, leaving only the bare, clean side where once the palm tree towered, a thing that once has been and now can be no more. This is a quote from Majjhimaka Nikaya, a Buddhist scripture, as quoted by Prem and Ashish. The last few lines of the Mandala 10 of the Rig Veda, quoted before the description of stanzas on cosmic evolution in the Secret Doctrine, exactly put this question. Few lines of those are that quote out, few lines from that Mandala is, who knows the secret? Who knows from whence the great creation is sprang? The most high seer, that is in highest heaven, he knows it, or perchance even he knows not. So it is all about unknowing state, which is talking about this Sloka 9, which we have tried to explain in various terms given in this one. Thank you very much.
Mr. Pandey, thank you so much. As usual, you have a concentrated, classical, systematic, sustainable analysis of the sloka, which helps us follow the thought. Of course, to catch a thought and to correlate it with a physical plane manifestation, what does it mean? It means that our listeners can apply it to something. It's very difficult to listen to only the terms. Of course, it's important to have equality of the living breathing. This breathing appears when the consciousness has an opportunity to penetrate this place, and this place is not alaya. Alaya does not appear in a particular form. Alaya is
ее проявление есть лая. Поэтому есть алая центр, есть лая центр.
There is alaya center and laya center, alaya and laya states. How to fix it together so that we can talk about it, listen to that. And do you know what idea I have? In this format, we will lead sessions of this year to the end, to the month of May. And next year, we are planning a quite different level of the sessions and analysis of the Secret Doctrine. Speakers will present the material in the scientific and research group. We will try not to give each other the terms as a ball we throw, because we all know the terms written in the Theosophical Glossary and the Secret Doctrine by HPB, but we will try rather to talk and to open up these terms. That is a different level we're trying to achieve for several years, and I hope that the next season will meet these exact seminars interesting to our listeners. And I would like to note that the book in the internal group, a book by HPB, tells us how to bring these terms together in order not to mix them up. HPB gives a clear distinguishing between all these components. She says that the ether is what is behind Akasha, and the astral light is what is behind the ether. So we should understand for ourselves what these terms are. And it's so easy to get confused in all these schools and terms, but the most important thing is what HPB gives in the Secret Doctrine. It's that has importance, and we can see it in different variations of text. Thank you so much. We will get back with the commentaries when all speakers will have an opportunity to speak. And right now we'll listen to our colleague from France, dear Ms. Brigitte Taken, the Blavatsky Lodge of the Theosophical Society of France, who has prepared for all the listeners of the seminar and for us her revelations, her thoughts about the ninth sloka. We're listening to you, dear Brigitte. We're happy to meet you.
I want to thank all the Russian Theosophists who gave me the opportunity to contribute to your research on the secret doctrine. So this is a little study about stanza 1, Sloka 9, namely on the notion of the third eye of the DANGMA, of the open eye of the DANGMA and on ALAYA. We saw in Sloka 8 that the DANGMA, the purified soul, is a Jivanmukta, the highest form of the adept, a Mahatma so-called, his clairvoyance, faculty of spiritual intuition, so-called. So, through which a direct and certain knowledge is obtainable. Page 46 in the Secret Doctrine. The open eye is connected with the third eye mentioned in a further sloka, in a further stanza, stanza 10, sloka 42, referring to the fourth race, that of the Atlanteans, and which says, they built temples for the human body, male and female, they worshipped. Then the third eye acted no longer. End of quotation. The Atlanteans are said to be the first root race to worship the material body, which worship put an end to their faculty of seeing, of being spiritual seer. You find page of the volume 2, page 273. They became the first sacrificer to a god of matter. That worship degenerated soon into self-worship and led to phallicism, or that which reigns supreme to this day in the symbolism of every exoteric religion of ritual, dogma, and form. End of quotation. Thus we see that the loss of spiritual clairvoyance is described as due to the fact that human beings got ensnared by the material world, their own material form. They became proud of themselves and thought, we are the king, we are the gods. Page 271 of second volume. And that it led them to lose completely their spiritual faculty. In the Secret Doctrine, page 200, in the third note of a plate, we can read the three higher planes of the divine and formless world of spirit is inaccessible to human intellect as developed at present. End of quotation. This does not exclude further developments in the future, nor the use of another faculty than the intellect, intuition, for example, insight. It doesn't exclude either that this insight existed in previous era. I found another occurrence of this opened eye in the Secret Doctrine, page 218, in the notes, which says, the three higher principles in the atom, or rather molecule of chemical elements, being perceptible only to initiate the DANGMA's eye. Again, that DANGMA's eye. This passage seems to indicate that the eye of a DANGMA can be active nowadays, and that it is even more efficient than the best of our modern microscope. For it is said in the note that modern scientists can only see the four lowest orders of the astral plane. In the comment of this 9th Sloka, ALAYA is named the soul of the world, the anima mundi. ALAYA is said to be eternal and changeless in its inner essence, but in its inner essence on the planes unreachable by either men or cosmic gods, but to alter during the active life period, which with respect to the lower planes, ours included. End of quotation. During that time, not only the Dhyani Buddhas are one with ALAYA in soul and essence, but even the man strong in the yoga, mystic meditation, is able to merge with it. The latter words being a quotation of Arya Sangha. Arya Sangha, also called Asanga, expounded in the 4th century of our era the notion of ALAYA Vijnana, which could be worth mentioning in our context. ALAYA Vijnana in the Yogacarya Buddhism is, so to say, a receptacle consciousness, a store consciousness, but which is not a self. It is a substratum consciousness that underlies the continuity of personal experience in time and through many lives. The substratum that explains why there is that continuity of experience in spite of a Buddhism teaching of no self or anatma. In a letter to A.P. Sinet, Master Kutumi declares, it's the 108th letter in chronological order. So Master Kutumi says that the vision of a best seer among spiritualists is limited and deceptive because they are untrained and non-guided by ALAYA Vijnana, hidden knowledge. ALAYA Vijnana is said to be the eighth and last level of consciousness. So in this passage of the Secret Doctrine, the words yoga, mystic meditation, and the mention of Arya Sangha, who presented the concept of ALAYA Vijnana seem to indicate that there is a special kind of meditation, of mystic contemplation, which could enable us to regain that pristine clairvoyance, primordial awareness, which was still operative in the first Atlantean subraces. This spiritual insight is said to have disappeared as soon as humans began to identify themselves with their physical body and strength, forgetting thereby their spiritual origin, the Dhyani Buddhas, Anupadaka, mind-born sons, Manasaputras, which they were during the preceding third root race. These Dhyani Buddha are the primeval monads from the world of incorporeal being, the Arupa world. It is said in the Secret Doctrine that they emanate or create for themselves by virtue of dhyana, celestial selves, the superhuman bodhisattva, page 571 of Secret Doctrine. In the Voice of a Silence, HPB, in a chapter entitled The Two Paths, we find the following quotation. Alas, alas, that all men possess ALAYA, be one with a great soul, and that possessing it, ALAYA should so little avail them. Behold how, like the moon reflected in the tranquil waves, ALAYA is reflected by the small and the great, is mirrored in the tiniest atom, yet fails to reach the heart of all. Alas, that so few men should profit by the gift, the priceless boon of learning truth, the right perception of existing things, the knowledge of a non-existent. Here, ALAYA is said to be present in every atom, every sentient being. We all would be one with it, all possess it, but it would be of no avail for us. So we find in the comments of HPB of S9 Sloka indications that there is a mystic meditation, ALAYA Vijnana, a hidden knowledge, and that we can merge our soul with a universal soul, the source of all living entities, through the meditation of the secret heart, evoked in the voice of the silence. This esoteric doctrine teaches us that there is a way to escape the illusion of parikalpita, error, delusion, and of paratantra, impermanency, and regain that primordial awareness that was ours in the beginning of time. Thank you for your attention.
Dear Bridget, thank you so much. It's an exciting additional thought in your notion that we haven't heard in other speakers, and that's very precious. Thank you so much. I'll add my word to research of the 9th Sloka. I'll be brief. I'll try to be brief, but still express main moments, thoughts, and ideas that came to me during study of this material. So, Sloka 9 sounds the following way, but where was the dogma when the lie of the universe was in Paramartha and the great wheel was Anupadaka? This is the first question that finishes stanza 1. That is, in Sloka 9, the last sloka of the end stanza 1, a question arises, which will unfold in the subsequent slokas of stanza 2 in 3 questions that follow. Let us see what these questions are. So the first one, where was DANGMA? Stanza 1, sloka 9. Where were the builders? Stanza 2, sloka 1. Where was the silence? Stanza 2, sloka 2. And where was the hearing? Stanza 12, sloka 2. So right now, let us identify some analogy from this sequence. So in 3 slokas, only 4 questions are asked. So how can we assume that these 3 slokas redefine the 4 states, which is the basis for manifesting the subtlety of 3 slokas? So 3 slokas plus 4 questions make 7. If so, then this sequence can be understood. And why there is such a deep description of these unmanifested states? Only because they are the basis of manifestation for all the underlying planes of being up to the dense plane of physical form. So the first question goes on with describing the state of space from the whole sloka 1. Where was the eye of DANGMA when the lie of the universe was in Paramartha and the great wheel was Anupadaka? In order to answer this question, HPB gives us a description of the space state, which corresponds to the period of the eye of DANGMA, when it was in the stage of readiness to open, but was not open. This state of space in ALAYA, the soul of the universe, the single state of the universe, was in the absolute state of unity, meaning Paramartha. All states of ALAYA, you've already mentioned them. Anima Mundi, the soul of the world, ALAYA, though eternal and unchangeable in inner essence on planes unattainable by either man or the cosmic gods. ALAYA is personification of emptiness, and nevertheless, that is the basis of every visible and invisible thing. ALAYA, though, has a great sense, and it's more than one sense. ALAYA means pradhana, or the initial basis. ALAYA is pradhana, the original basis. Non-divisible cause, being single, is at the same time cause and consequence. What is cause? Cause is pradhana, and prakriti is the consequence. Who was the essence in nature? It was Brahma, but Brahma does not begin the evolution, does not create it, but gives its different aspects. So certain aspects are twofold. The first aspect is pradhana, and the second one is prakriti. We also have key notions noted in the 9th sloka as Paramartha Satya, self-knowledge. Paramartha, or swasanvidana, it is self-consciousness or thinking which analyzes the self, and this notion includes several words. Satya, meaning absolutely true being, Parama, which is above all, and Artha, understanding or comprehension. In order to understand these notions, we should see what lies opposite to them. Opposites to these absolute states are understanding, Samvriti Satya. Samvriti Satya is the absolute reality with difficult thoughts. Samvriti is a false idea, the birth of illusion or Maya. And as HPB says, no arhat can attain the absolute knowledge before he unites in paranirvana. But we still know, and HPB explained, that this absolute knowledge attained by the great Arhat has two great enemies, Parakalpita and Paratantra. Let us see what these enemies of the absolute knowledge are and why HPB says in the about these two enemies. Parakalpita is a delusion caused by those who cannot be aware of emptiness and illusionary nature of everything that exists, and Paratantra is what exists only due to dependence or causal relationship, and what must disappear as soon as the cause from which it derived is eliminated. As esoteric philosophy teaches that everything living has consciousness, but does not say that all these consciousness can be equal to states of human consciousness or even animal consciousness. This state of ALAYA as the world soul is the same as Akasha in its mystical meaning, and it became equal to Mura Prakriti in its essence, and the soul is actually the vehicle of a higher plane for manifestation of a spirit, and these three are synthesized by life. These lives is in all. What is this life? It is expressed through the vehicle, spirit and matter, and soul. And we can see how this threefold nature gets together and manifested. Man is powerless from the very constitution of its being to raise the veil that shrouds the majesty of Absolute. Only the liberated spirit is able to faintly realize the nature of a source, where it's prana and where it's going to. Where is it going to? To the awakened Mahat, the world mind that is already in the phenomenon world as the first aspect of this unchangeable absolute, or the spirit, the matter, Purusha and Prakriti, are the two primary aspects of the single that does not the second one in this state. Why? As it is in the state of Anupapadaka, without parents, without progenitors. It is not born. There is a mystical designation having several meanings in the philosophy. By this name, celestial beings or Yanchuhans, or the whole hierarchy from Yanchuhans to Bodhisattvas arise. Bodhisattvas are known as Manushas or human Buddhas. At every plane, going from up to down, have the state of Anupapadaka. The whole hierarchy of Anupapadaka are the higher step as the Anima Mundi, and the lower step as Buddhi. The seventh principle, as you see, Atma Buddhas, is where they become diamond souls when these two principles are one, and when it is expressed, that is when we have the whole Mahatak manifested. So the hierarchy of Anupapadaka is universal spirit soul put together with the absolute. It cannot have parents because it is the world spirit. The universe in its eternal state before it was constructed by the builders was in the state of Anupapadaka. And the great wheel is movement of this universe. It was in Upapadaka because the spirit has not parents, because it's united with the absolute. In this sloka, in the commentary, HPB touches upon important aspects, karma and dharma. Of course, karma is the law of causes and effects, is first of all moral causality, because after its personality, nothing remains but its generated causes, which are indestructible, so which cannot be removed from the universe until they pass into legitimate consequences, are erased by them. What does it mean? These causes which have not been extinguished during the life of the person who gave birth to them, will follow him reincarnated and overtake him in a subsequent reincarnation until harmony between effects and causes is fully established. That is when harmony arises, the holy law that tells us about this harmony, causes and effects. It arises when the moral causality has effects finishing in themselves. It is manifested. Buddhism tells us a lot about morality. HPP also mentions in this sloka the whole hierarchy of Tianchuhans, so let us see how they are distributed. Tianchuhans as the lords of the light, the higher gods, the divine minds. Dhyani Buddhas, who are those who have a compassionate heart. Dhyani Pasha, as we say, Dhyani Pasha is the rope of Dhyanis and spirits, the ring with boundaries which cannot be offended. The whole sensuality shall be left in the materialistic plane, and the spirit goes to the plane of mind and creativity. Dhyani itself, the Sanskrit word, is one of 6 parameters in Buddhist state immersion that elevates significantly above the plane of sensory perception and beyond the world of matter, and it is explained in the 9th sloka, mentioning ALAYA and ANUPADAKA. So it means that contemplation of the 6 stages of Dhyani is DANGMA, is the awakened soul. We are getting to Dhyani, one of 6 parameters. DANGMA is the enlightened soul, and the one who has attained perfect wisdom or a full freedom from the sensual plane is actually DANGMA. Please look how this enlightened soul emerges at the plane of prototypes. You can see it. The plane of mind and creativity is Dhyan Chuhans, the lords of the light. The plane of material formation is the plane of Dhyan Buddhas, the compassionate heart. And the physical plane is the plane of Manushya Buddhas, human Buddhas, incarnation of Dhyan Chuhans. Bodhisattvas, whose essence has become mind or bodhi, are those who need only one incarnation in order to become a perfect Buddha, or to have the right to nirvana. And this also applies to the earthly Manushya Buddhas. Here is the full description of this hierarchy in the slide. Sattva, as understanding of divine knowledge, is kindness, purity, one of the 3 guns, or the 3 divisions of nature, and Sat is the one eternal reality. HPB says that this triple symbolism, in its 7 vowels, is 1-voiced, 3-voiced, and 7-voiced one. These are the 3 ways this triple symbolism can be expressed with. The 7-voiced is a triangle, concretizing into a quadrangle or tetragrammaton, and rays at the material plane. Mahat, the universal mind, thought, cognition, first of all manifests as Brahma or Shiva, is revealed first as Vishnu. Therefore, as the Logos, it is expressed in several aspects. Mahat is the Lord, and Manas, the primary creation. It was born. It's called egoism, but it's born as self being me. A secondary creation, the 9th creation. When Mahat develops into self-consciousness, it takes the name of egoism. Mahat, Manas, is man, actually becoming the self. In equilibrium or ALAYA center, Mahat is in equilibrium at this moment. Creation is not yet there. This equilibrium or alaya center is alaya that has three components: spirit, soul, and body together. And HPB describes this state of the highest equilibrium as the highest attainment of Agni Yoga. Dedicated creative work of its spirit leads this to balance of the global ratio. Therefore, balancing and disagreement between the centers are balanced. The point mentioning this state of consciousness is the cross at the plane of prototypes. It means Jesus Christ, the light, the beginning, a new cycle, the beginning of the journey, and the whole 9th sloka corresponds to startward, when motion of alaya gives this force of moving to another plane. This word start is the verb or movement of the spirit, so the alaya merge itself actually means transfer to another plane where alaya emerges, where the place emerges where this light can fall. This 9th sloka describes non-described state of the 9th creation. The 9th creation is the three threefold forces. 3 multiplied by 3 is 9 in the single state, which are ready to give an impetus and to start a new cycle of new movement. What is 9? Inside there are the 7 hidden planes of being, and only the 2 of them, the 8th and the 9th, are in the external space, ALAYA and ANUPADAKA, the 2 forces that keep the sublimity, and when the cycle comes, they will become a form of movement. And where was DANGMA when the ALAYA of the universe was in PARAMARTHA and the great wheel was ANUPADAKA? DANGMA was in a place where there were the builders. DANGMA was in a place where there was silence. DANGMA was in a place where there were the ears. In the hidden sublimity of the unmanifested 9th creation of the universe. The 9th creation is the force of light and love. It is the symbol of Jesus Christ, who goes down where the human being can accept it. When does it happen? When the star, or the true human being, its monad, cannot be covered with a veil or illusion, and where we only need to prepare the space where this light can penetrate. This place is our mind. So the whole 9th sloka tells us about one movement, start, one verb, start, that corresponds to the 9th creation. Thank you so much for having listened to several thoughts and ideas, and I'd like to thank all the speakers who expressed their thoughts today, who could bring such difficult material to our listeners. And the most important one is that every one of us today contributed to this unification for the thought. The highest discussion is happening where this uniting thought is there. Work of every speaker, of every participant is priceless. I ask every member of the scientific group to express their thoughts. Theosophical Society of Australia, a representative of the Lodge, Uttahkarand, please tell us a few words about how the 9th sloka represented by our speakers seem to be, please.
Hi, thank you for having me here. It's just really, I'm always awe-inspired, first of all, by the language translation. People from different countries try to explain these extremely complex concepts in a language that's not their own. I just am in total admiration. It's just very beautiful. And yes, Sloka 9 is an interesting one, because it's, as the speakers have said, it is the one that really poses a question: where is DANGMA? And we all, and everybody here, try to explain where DANGMA is. What is DANGMA? It is that third eye, it's that spiritual eye. It's perhaps that eye of the pilgrim that's returning. It was just so well explained by everybody, and also to tease out the Sanskrit words and the difference of interpretation depending on context. And Professor Pandey, your rendition was very, very inspiring as well, and Ritva, bringing in the heart. You know, all this material is can become mind stuff, but how do we apply that to making meaning in our lives? How do we bring it down? It's all very well to expand it and understand it intellectually, but what does it actually mean for all our lives? And Evgenia, I'm just always in awe of your PowerPoint presentations with the beautiful graphics that are moving in themselves. So it's very much what you bring is like an artist brings a concept into a visual, and it's very enriching. It's very lovely. And Arni, you starting off this whole thing. And of course, with Bridget and everybody, Bridget going forward also into later stanzas and getting an idea of how the DANGMA is actually lost and in materialism, but which in this stanza 1, which I find so inspiring for our lives, is there. I think I've said enough, but thank you again, everybody. I'm just in awe. It's beautiful.
Дорогая Эстер, огромное спасибо, что вы были с нами.
Esther, thank you so much for being with us from Australia, that is far away. In Moscow, it's snowing, and it's great weather. I think these two continents are away from each other. When we have snow and you have warmth and sun, it's great when these opposites come together. Today, Kemerova is with us, representative of the Russian Esoteric School of Theosophy, Blavatsky Lodge, Lyudmila Alexandrovna Razuvaeva. Please tell us a bit about this seminar.
It's very great that we have the possibility by means of this seminar to communicate between us, and this study is very interesting, very pleasant. Arni Narendran report was very interesting. It's very nice to hear you also, Ritva, Lappi, all ideas that were brought to us very nicely correspond to the material. Also, Sir Pandey, very nice ideas about differentiation in this Sloka enables us to think it over further. And also Bridget from France gave us the material. It was very interesting to hear from her that she belongs to the lodge of Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, and all the Theosophists who are present here. So it's very interesting, very nice. Of course, very deep research was given to us by Evgenia Mikhailovna. Special thanks to her, because the Theosophy movement was started by Mr. Bakanov in Russia, and the Theosophy school represented by him is followed by Vladimir Vasilyevich, and Vladimir Vasilyevich would be very proud of such possibility of through internet broadcast throughout the world. So it's very interesting, and special thanks to the deep analysis which was given to us about all the Sanskrit terms. It was presented very nicely, very deeply, and all in correspondence with sevenfoldness. Very brief. Thank you a lot. I'm very grateful. And please start to act, start some actions, which gives us some starting point. And thank you, all participants. And one more thought, what is being done by Theosophists from all over the world. And this unification, which should be on our earth, now it's represented very well in our seminar. Thank you so much.
The call to act, to start, is where the first the sloka ends and the second sloka starts. We'd like to listen to candidate of Theosophical Sciences of Moscow Aviation Institute, Mr. Kalgana. I'd like to pose you a question. How do you have time for all your activities to study and to express your words in your reports? You are just amazing. We welcome you. Thank you so much for these warm words. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I've listened to great reports at this very difficult subject, the ninth sloka. What I'd like to say, as for questions that we have in this sloka, they were subject to discussion of philosophists in different schools and different times. And the notion of anima mundi is close to the Russian philosophy, where the world soul is called Sophia. It is the central notion of Russian philosophy, and the school studying this anima mundi with Mr. Vladimir Solovyov is called the School of Satiology. As for today's discussion and today's report of different speakers, we've heard that the adept who is come far enough can merge his soul with the soul of ALAYA, but he can do it only if it's complementary to this world soul and very pure. And without any doubt, he should also have a desire, because he has a free will, desire to merge with this world soul from the one side, and purity of soul of the adept himself on the other side. Without it, we cannot have any merge. As for our main scientist studying anima mundi, Vladimir Solovyov, who first created the Russian philosophical system similar to Gegel's system. Being in London, Mr. Solovyov studied sources of mystical research in the British Museum, and the world soul, Sophia, called him to Egypt desert. Mr. Vladimir Solovyov didn't waste any time thinking. He came to Egypt, and it is where this world soul revealed to himself. And these meetings took place, and we can see it in the three talks by Vladimir Solovyov. All his works are an attempt to remember and to create a structure what the world soul told him. What I would like to say about that is what I've said. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to meet you. Mr. Sergey, thank you so much. Mr. Yari, I'd like to say, to sum up, that we all say that we should apply practically this knowledge to life. Be aware of how to use it, because we should know laws. It's the most important. But in order to merge with this ALAYA, or to be in contact with this ALAYA, it's what's possible for any person, any. We need just to be not egoistic. When your wish to merge with it is there and you are getting closer to this absolute truth, this seeking to be with the absolute truth without any egoism, is when this merge happens. These are, we say, millions and billions of these cases that take place, and the adept is a human that is the earthly one. And he is the adept, he is the Mahatma. He has this state, but who is Mahatma? Mahatma teaches his child. Who is Mahatma in this moment? He gives all the knowledge he has. Selflessness, with selflessness. And it is so simple. Our cosmogonical science in our minds, it's far away and we cannot approach to that. We are trying to do something, but we've forgotten. And we should remember. What should we remember about? That the human being is the universe, has everything inside, all the forces, all the energies, all Akashi, ether, astral, mental energies, has everything inside. What should we do then? We should turn the wheel of learning, and this month gives us this opportunity to turn the wheel of mind so that what is far away can be sensed, can be close to us, and can be felt by our eye of DANGMA. I wouldn't tell it that it is even an eye. HPB told it is DANGMA only from the western part of mind. And in the East, they say it's not an eye, it is the voice of DANGMA, the voice. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
It's very important that ALAYA becomes LAYA when there is a possibility for the light to penetrate to the place which accommodates it. And this place is our consciousness. So let's be ready to accommodate this light and to free this place for this accommodation, for the light to penetrate. So love and light to everybody. I congratulate everybody with the completion of this seminar. Of course, hundreds of viewers will watch this seminar. At the beginning, always we are preparing teaching materials in the quizy forum, which will add up some interesting aspects of this seminar. And we have prepared 2 movies. You know that on 27th and 28th in Sochi, in city of Sochi, there will be 5th International Congress, which there will be many projects, social significant projects. And those who cannot come to Sochi, please join us online. We'll be glad to welcome each of you. And please now have a look at the movies about the Congress, so you can see how you can get connected, and we are waiting for all of you. Please write your opinions, your suggestions in the section answers and questions, and let's looking forward to see you on the Congress on 27th and 28th of November. Love and light.
The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Dedicated to all true Theosophists. Book of the Third Millennium.
Blavatsky only knew